Okay, but why?
Hello there, and welcome to episode number 3 of Biscuits and Biophysics. Now, if you've ever been curious about music production or signal processing or microscopy, then chances are that you would have encountered the term called Fourier Transforms. In fact, in biophysics, you hear it almost all the time. But if you try to Google it or look into a textbook, then you always get something that sounds like Fourier transforms help you decompose a signal into sine waves, or every shape can be described as a combination of sine waves. Now, first of all, what exactly is decomposing a signal? And even if I had to decompose it to something, why should it be sine waves of all things? Like, come on, if I look at that kind of a signal, the last thing I want to do is imagine it as a bunch of sine waves. I'd rather break it apart like this. But here's the thing, it's not about sine waves, and it's not about splitting things apart. Fourier transforms is actually about untangling a mess. For instance, let's hear this audio track right here. Now that was a single, fairly complicated sound wave, but you heard multiple sounds in it. Now if you go back and listen to it, you'll be able to figure out that there were exactly two distinct notes, sung at two different frequencies in that sound file. Now if you listen to it once more, you'll probably be able to sing the exact frequencies that were in the file. So what you've done is take a complicated sound wave and untangle it into its two component frequencies. Now your ears have performed a Fourier transform. Feel like a mathematician yet? In fact, you can even see Fourier transforms in action anywhere in life. For instance, when you look out of the window and you see a rainbow, then what's happened there is an entangled, messy wave of white light just got untangled by a raindrop into its 7 frequency components. Now clearly it's an amazing concept, and if you're wondering where we use it in biophysics, then several biophysical techniques involve shining radiation on a sample of molecules to get them excited by absorbing energy. And of course, they will calm down eventually, but when they do that, they have to release that energy, and you can detect it in the form of a wave. But of course, a molecule is made up of several atoms, each one of them releasing energies at their own frequencies, all at the same time. So what you have is an entangled mess of a waveform in your detector, and if you can find a way to untangle all of those individual frequency components from that waveform, then you can get information about every single atom in your molecule. And that's how powerful a Fourier transform is. Now, we also use Fourier transforms when it comes to image processing. And that's kind of weird. What sort of frequency can you think about in an image? What's vibrating over there? What's changing with time? Well, here's the thing. When it comes to frequency, you might be familiar with the definition of how often something happens in a second. And that is temporal frequency because it's associated with time. But there's also the definition of how often things happen in every centimeter or every millimeter. But basically that's called spatial frequency because it's associated with distance. Now, if I look at an image, then I have low frequency details and high frequency details. For instance, if I have to look at the pores in my stubble, then clearly they are high frequency details because there are several points located in even a tiny distance over there. And if you look at an image where these details are blurred out or you can't really see them, then that's because it seems like the high frequency details have just been filtered out. And somehow that filter has only allowed low frequency details, like the outlines and the general idea of my face, to pass through. And that's what people mean whenever they throw around the word low pass filter. There's also high pass filters and several other types of filters, but essentially their definition lies in the idea of a Fourier transform. So clearly this is a powerful and ubiquitous concept, and hopefully if you're a biophysics student, then you won't get overwhelmed the next time you encounter this term in your textbook or your lecture. Fun fact though, the equation for a Fourier transform involves our favorite Mr. I. And you remember how I told you imaginary numbers occur everywhere in life? But anyways, that concludes this episode, and in our next couple of episodes, which are also our last couple of episodes for Biscuits and Biophysics, I'll be talking about 2 other concepts that you encounter in biophysics. But interestingly, these concepts have the same exact equation, but somehow they're used for completely different things. More on that tomorrow. Until then, I'm Varun from OK But Why. Stay safe, stay curious, and stay tuned for the next video.